Also happening today, a group of local veterans heads to see the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C.
About 80 Mountain and Upstate veterans will be part of the latest honor flight trip to the nation's capital. They are leaving from Greenville later this morning. Honor Flight is a nonprofit organization that flies veterans free of charge to visit the memorial built in their honor. Veterans say they are grateful for what's being done to make a dream come true.
Being a part of it and showing my thanks for what everybody did to make that happen.
I think this is a great honor, and I'm happy.
News 13's Frank Crocker had a chance to meet 3 of the veterans going on today's honor flight, and we'll have a profile of them tonight at 6. He will also be with them in Washington, D.C., bringing us live reports.
New this hour, it is a big day for a group of local veterans who get to see the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. About 80 Mountain and Upstate vets are part of the latest honor flight trip. News 13's Frank Crocker joins us now live. And Frank, where are you at this point?
We just arrived by bus from Reagan National Airport. The bus is lined up. 90 veterans from North and South Carolina. We've got 12 from North Carolina came here as part of Honor Flight, which is an outgrowth of Honor Air, which was started, as you'll recall, back in 2006 by Jeff Miller. And Jeff's standing by. He goes on all of these trips. Jeff, this started 9 years ago. When you look around at this place, what's happening here now, how you feeling?
The best way I can describe it, we brought the memorial to life. You're nestled between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Memorial, and they never got to see theirs. The World War II veterans now, because of the great work of hubs all across the country and the fabulous work of that committee we put together back in 2006, well, we're somewhere around 160 to 170,000 veterans that have made this trip now. So it's there's a lot of pride in it. You've seen some of the things, the fast food truck here, I guess I shouldn't have mentioned the name, but it's the #1 in the country because he services all our flights, and there's a lot of neat things that have come as a side to this, but the biggest thing is everybody likes to come here and honor these veterans, and a lot of kids here today doing the same.
What's your hope in all this?
Well, we just hope it keeps going. We'd like to see every group, every era honored, and maybe that's going to work itself out. There's a lot of groups flying Korean veterans now, and the Vietnam veterans, especially the Honor Flight Network has a thing called the TLC, their last chance. It's any kind of terminally ill veterans. But Upstate, this Honor Flight Upstate, Paul Howell and his team have been so gracious to let us work with them.
Well, thanks for talking with us. I'm going to let you get off. I know you got a busy day. We'll be chasing these folks around. We'll go from World War II Memorial, the Korean War Memorial, Vietnam Memorial. A busy day, and we'll be following on social media. Also tonight at 5, 6, 10, 11, stick with News 13. It's going to be a great day here. Reporting live from Washington, D.C., Frank Crocker, News 13.
Some World War II veterans from the mountains in the Upstate are wrapping up a very big day in the nation's capital. They're part of an honor flight trip to see the memorial built in their honor. News 13's Frank Crocker is traveling with them and joins us live. What is the final stop on this tour, Frank?
Arlington National Cemetery, here for the solemn changing of the guard ritual. But the first stop on the agenda today was the World War II Memorial in the National Mall, dedicated to all Americans who served in the armed forces and those who worked as civilians as part of the war effort. It opened in 2004, but many of these folks had never seen this symbol of their sacrifice. So today was a very big deal and much appreciated.
I just am so impressed with it, and the people are so nice. And I think of the organization of this whole project. It's awesome.
Their time at the memorial was capped off with a group photo in front of the Rainbow Pool, then tours of the Korea, Vietnam, and Lincoln memorials. Well, coming up on the news at 6, we're going to profile 3 Asheville veterans who came on this trip, and then at 10 and 11, we're going to show you more of this day that we were so lucky to be a part of. Reporting live in Arlington, Virginia, Frank Crocker, News 13.
Well, this year we mark 70 years since the end of World War II, and we continue to pay tribute to those who served with a memorial in Washington, D.C.
A nonprofit group offers veterans a free trip to the nation's capital, a special gift for helping save the world.
News 13's Frank Crocker went along for the ride today, and he reports from Washington, D.C. now on the latest honor flight.
31 veterans from the mountains of the Upstate in Washington, D.C. today. They came to see the national memorial built in their honor. They joined together in Europe, the Pacific, and on the home front. I was able to sit down with some of them before today's trip, and trust me, they all have a story to tell.
And that is my ship.
At age 89, Jim Wilson's the kid in this group, 3 residents of the Bella Vista retirement community in Asheville.
Got home, started a baby the first night.
Gerald Fine is 93, fondly remembering what the end of the war meant for him and his wife.
3 of us thought, let's see the world.
Arlene Craig's 94 years young, talking about how it all started for her and 2 girlfriends. They went from nursing school straight into the Army Air Corps.
I never felt that I did anything, heroic and all.
Just 21, Arlene wound up at a new basic training center near Greensboro, providing medical support for soldiers getting ready to ship out overseas. Arlene's mission kept her stateside.
Everyone at home, and we all were united, and it was just the thing to do.
I started off on a lonely train ride from Asheville down the mountain to Raleigh.
Jim Wilson's a landlocked hometown boy who became a sailor. He delivered aviation fuel and ammunition to the beaches of Okinawa.
I was a gunner on a twin 40. I remember the skipper saying, the next alarm or GQ will not be a phony one, it will be the real thing.
You can't describe what it's like to go into combat.
For Gerald Fine, it was the real thing every day. An Army machine gunner who took the point position, his unit taking one town after another in a march across Europe. One of those days he'll never forget.
The guy on the east side of me was killed, and a German grenade landed at my feet. I said, that's it. It never went off. So I shouldn't even be here.
On this day in the library at the Bella Vista, they share memories and mementos.
I've got the teletype that came through the ship the day that Roosevelt died in Warm Springs.
I bet the archives would like to have that.
I carried my wife's handkerchief in my pocket during the whole war. If I'd ever decided to go, it's the last time. I'm 93 years old.
They all decided to go to the World War II Memorial, built on the National Mall in their honor. It's a first for Arlene and Gerald.
I think this is a great, great honor, and I'm happy.
It's Jim's second trip. He's visited them all.
I had seen the Vietnam Memorial, and there was something about that, I guess, with all the names and everything that might have had more of a punch.
And that is where Gerald really wants to go, the wall, to honor another soldier who never made it home.
I had a young man back in Virginia that worked for me, young black man, went to Vietnam. He was like a son to me, and I told him he'd have a job for the rest of his life. He got killed. I cry at movies, books, everything, and I know I'll cry when I get there, and I want to see Sam's name.
They're seeing so much today, 7 stops in just about 6 hours' time. They are on the move, and we'll be there with them. We should be back home about 8:30, and we'll be on the air at 10 and 11 to tell you more about this honor flight they'll never forget. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Frank Crocker, News 13.
Can't get enough of their stories,
No,
the life they've lived.
Their stories are fantastic.
Yeah, we got Veterans Day
so
coming
much
up.
history there.
Yeah, a couple of weeks Veterans Day coming up. Dozens of veterans from the mountains and the upstate are back home tonight after an honor air flight today to Washington, D.C. Their first stop was the monument built in their honor, the World War II Memorial. News 13's Frank Crocker went along for the ride. He reports from Greenville.
From here at GSP to Reagan National and back again. About 11 and a half hours start to finish. It was an action-packed day that was all about them. Off the plane and strike up the band. Passengers in the terminal even stopped to cheer and show their appreciation to these men and women of the greatest generation who helped save the world.
I swelled up when coming off that plane, and everybody was really, it touched me. And then to see the memorial, that's even more touching.
It's one of the jewels of the National Mall, circling the Rainbow Pond, paying tribute to those who served in the military and those civilians who worked on the war effort. Some first-time visitors were overwhelmed by it all.
When I came home, there was no parade. I think of all the guys that didn't come home with me. It just gets to me. I cry very easily, but this is beyond.
This trip to D.C. took Jerry beyond World War II to another memorial, to a final farewell. That part of the story tomorrow on the news at 6. Jerry will be our Person of the Week. Reporting in Greenville, Frank Crocker, News 13.
Person of the Week is brought to you by Allen's Pawn and Jewelry.
This week, local veterans took a special honor flight to the World War II Memorial in Washington, D.C. For one former soldier from Asheville, it was a final mission to bid an old friend farewell. News 13's Frank Crocker introduces us to our Person of the Week.
Nobody wants to go to war. They gave me a job to do, and I went to do the job that they gave me to do.
A beautiful day in the nation's capital to see the sights and remember the war. It was a day of reflection for 31 mountain and upstate veterans, among them 93-year-old Jerry Fine.
This is a beautiful place to honor all the guys that didn't come home.
Jerry was an Army machine gunner who marched across Europe, was awarded the Bronze Star for his heroic actions in battle.
I'm very much anti-war, and having lived through it makes it even more real.
You know where this is?
Jerry's honor flight guardian was Buncombe County Superior Court Judge Marvin Pope, spending this day in D.C. helping his new friend navigate the memorial that honors him and all those who served during World War II. At times, it was tough to take it all in, to have anything to say.
He will open up, and then he'll see something that's just a little bit too emotional, and he not only gets himself, he gets me too.
Jerry was pleased to see the World War II memorial, but it wasn't his most important stop. He wanted to come to the wall that has more than 58,000 names. He was looking for just one. Marine Corporal Samuel Gray, killed in action December 11, 1967, Quang Tri, South Vietnam. Hostile ground fire.
He died right away.
He worked in Jerry's grocery store before he went off to war.
He waiting for the bus across the street from my store. He was sitting there, and I looked at him and said, I hope he'll be all right.
That's the last time Jerry saw Sam, the young man who was like a son to him. In some ways, Vietnam left deeper scars for Jerry than the war he fought himself. Jerry doesn't even have a photo of his long-lost friend, so he came to the wall just to see his name.
I cry for all these guys, but especially for Sam, because I knew him, of course. When I think of all these kids, 58,000 that died, for what? It's a shame. War is hell, and until you've been here, you don't realize what it is.
In Washington,
he was a wonderful kid.
Frank Crocker.
Yeah, I never forget him.
News 13.
Great guy.
Well, if you'd like to help local veterans with flights to D.C. and other activities, you can volunteer or you can donate. Just go to WLOS.com and click on News Links.